Good evening. Hand tonight is A6 of clubs on the button. So we have a player in the hijack, limps. We got 223 hands on him. He is very passive, playing 33, 1, 2. You can see he doesn't even have C bets because he doesn't really raise pre-flop at all. So from mid position, you can see he's playing 27% of hands. He has not raised any of them. I don't think that's a fluke. So if we say 27% of hands, I think I'll give him all of the pocket pairs. Let's do these. And let's see what notes I have. Check raise flop with top pair, top kicker. Did not check raise with bottom trips. So check raises, but not with trips. So I think normally the limps tend to be these draw type of hands. That's probably about right. Broadways, suited aces, suited kings, suited connectors, suited one gappers. All right, he limps. Against this player, he's limping very wide, doesn't raise. I think our raising range here, so our normal raising range looks something like this. I think we should be stronger at the top end of our range, quite personally. But we're going to keep it here because I'd say at the top end of our range, what's the point of raising, a player that's going to probably call? So what we need to do is look at his limp calling range. Limp and call to raise 71%, limp and fold 29%. So he does limp fold. In mid position, he has limp called 6 out of 6 times. Where was he folding then? What position? 1 out of 6. Oh, cut off. So I think he could fold. He probably scales it based on what the strength of his hands are. So, something like this, if we raise, it's possible that he ends up folding some of these suited kings or maybe the smaller pocket pairs and so forth. I'm going to keep with my raising range here. So I raise, and how much should I raise? Definitely, I think probably raise. I think standard would be 4 big blinds, but I kind of think we should be raising maybe more, 5 or 6, because he's going to be playing so loose. He'll be coming along. I'm not too worried about these players. They're kind of unknowns, but for the most part, if I put in a decent size raise, 5 or 6 big blinds, they're not going to call. I didn't bet that high. I only bet 4 big blinds. They both folded, and then villain 7 called. So I didn't make an overly large bet. We're gonna say that this is what he continues with. So we're at 27.3. Let's see if I can shrink this up just a little bit. And he has 362 combos. Mine is this range, similar range. We have 31.2, 414 combos, and we see a flop of Jack of Spades, 9 of Spades, and 5 of Hearts. So Jack, 9, 5 of Hearts, and based on that, you can see that his equity is better than mine. Alright, so he has donked 5%. I kind of think this might be a board that he would donk, maybe with a Jack 10, Jack Queen, just to kind of see where he's at. I'm not so sure he would donk with a Jack 9. So he checks. So we could probably delete some hands, or at least assign some weights to it. And now it's on, with the hands I'm thinking these top pairs. So Jack Queen, Jack 10, maybe, and that Jack 8. I think probably have not 100%, maybe let's say 50% because he could donk. Um, Now, what about us? So he checks, and now we have to think about what are going to be our value hands, what are going to be our uh, bluffing hands. So definitely top pair plus, I think, is for value. I see a lot of jacks calling, nines calling. I see fives calling. I see pocket eights, pocket sevens, pocket sixes. There's a lot of straight draws, so 6-7 could call, 7-8s could call, queen 10, 10-8, spade draws. I see a lot of different draws calling. So I do think we're going to be top pair plus is going to be value. I think we can also continue with flush draw and these gut shots. And that gives us 37% continuance with about half and half. We can throw in 2-card backdoor flush draws as well. So these are like those hearts, all of our hearts. I think that's okay. And now that includes some of our overcards as well. So your aces, queens, and so forth. So if we include, all of these other ones we're talking about, C betting 42.6%, we're 60-40. I don't think we're quite there yet in terms of what we can bet, but I think this is probably a good start and probably one that we're going to do. I think we can check pocket pair below top pair. I think the overcards we can check because I just think this hits his range so much. I don't think we need to be up very high frequency. We also, however, when you see his filled the C bets out of position, he's 65%. So I think with the fold C bet that high, I think we're going to expand and start betting these middle pair, these bottom pairs, probably as kind of a bluff. We're kind of, it's kind of a mixed bluff value type deal. And then our no made hands, I think what we are doing, let's take that out, is betting these. Ace 8s. I think the 8 blocker helps block some of those straights that would be calling. So I think what we're doing is betting 54 and probably still need to bet some more here. Maybe do all of these 8s because that blocks kind of his draws. Yeah, I forgot those. Ace 10, ace 8. We're at 67.6%. That's a lot. I mean, huge number. But I think we're doing that because he folds. He folds too much. So I think that's what we should be betting. I think I have all of the overcards here. Yeah, I do have all of the overcards. Should I include all of the A6s? 5, 6, 5, 7. Yeah. I think we're gonna add more because these have draws. Maybe even just all of those. Do that. We are slowly getting up. Virtually everything. And I'm thinking those because with like the ace 2, ace 3, ace 4, you can get the wheel. We're going to do that. We're going to take these kings out. I don't think the kings make sense. King 8 does, but I don't think those king 8s make sense. We're going to take those out. So 86.2, we've got a huge range. I think that's kind of what we're going to do. So what do? We bet 6. I think that's an okay amount, and then he calls. So let's do this. That's my flop range. We are continuing 86.2%. We have a huge amount. And then when he calls, I think he is calling with all pairs. Not all pairs. Bottom pair, 6, 7, 8s. Yeah, we'll do pocket pair below second pair. He'll call flush draw, open ended straight draws. I think we're gonna get rid of those. That's 53.4%. I think that's his range. So he definitely, once he calls, he's got something there. And I think that's kind of why, I mean, on the surface, it looks like he's going to fold a lot, but it could be because he doesn't normally hit the flop. And on this case, I think that hits such a big portion of this range that perhaps we're not getting the folds. And if they continue, I doubt. I mean, I'm gonna guess he's still gonna continue. So that's mine. This is his. He's continuing. I already got that. So 53.4%. He's at 173, and now 2 of diamonds. That does not help him for sure. If he's on his draw, that completely misses him. But he still has the edge when it comes to equity. All right, so he checks. I think he's still going to check his entire range, and now it's on us. I think we bet top pair only. I don't think flush draw, open ended straight draw, and the gut shot. I think those could be draw hands, and I think that's probably it. He does have some draws. You can see, you know, if we broke this up. Oops. Let's use red for those. Would he call a gut shot? I don't think so. I don't think he calls a gut shot. I think he calls a flush draw and open and straight draw. So that means he's calling 75% of the time. 61% of the time that he calls, he's got top pair plus. So that's why I think when we look at that kind of breakdown, this is kind of what we're looking at is we're betting 52% of the time, and he's going to fold 25% of the time. And then the other 75% of the time, he's going to have a 60%. So we might be a little bit heavy on our draws, gut shot. So perhaps maybe do away with the gut shot and say we're going to be more value heavy here. That's probably and take the check with our gut shot, see if we connect with it. I will say I think with the gut shot or with the flush draw that we should definitely be betting, because if that flush gets there on the river, I don't think we're gonna get called anymore, especially if we have the ace. So if we're gonna get another street of value, I think we're gonna have to get it here on this turn. So I think we should be betting those hands, and I did 12 big blinds into 21. That may be a little bit small. Could have probably done, maybe about 15 or so. Maybe a little bit larger to apply a little bit more pressure, because then I think it kind of makes him take a step and say, well, should I call with all of my top pairs, or could I fold, let's say, jack eights? But I'm going to say he calls with those. So that's his turn range. Percentage of previous range is 75.4. He has 131. Our range is this. We got 32.2%. The combos that we have is 103. So we had a huge drop here. And of course, we could have weak pairs, no made hands, got shots, overcards, and so forth. And I think we're okay with that because I think when he calls, we're going to be behind, and he is going to be calling quite a bit. So I'm okay with that. What does he do? He calls. So then we see Jack of Clubs. There is a possibility that he had the Jack, but that makes it less likely that he has a hand, or that he has that Jack. So you can see that I do have range. I am now ahead equity wise. He checks, and now the question is, should I bet or should I fold? So based on my range, I think we bet over pairs. I think we bet three of a kinds, full houses, and that's about it. So I think we bet 61%. I think that's going to be a range. What does he call with? Over pair, three of a kinds range. So if I bet with that and he calls with that, you can see that we are about 50-50. So maybe instead of over pairs, maybe we just do three of a kinds, so the jacks, and leave the overcard as kind of like showdown value hand. So if he does that, then we've got him because he's going to be calling with these over pairs. Do I think he would have three bet at any point or raised me with aces, kings, or queens? I don't know. With this passive player, my guess is no. I think if he would have flopped trips or flopped nines, possibly. We already have him as saying check raise flop with top pair, top kicker. So I kind of think maybe ace jack could have possibly check raise there. But yeah, I think we're gonna have to go three of a kind or higher. The overpair is just not going to cut it. And then we can kind of check all our other things. Are we gonna have bluffs here? We could. I think he's folding 45%. So we can kind of think about, well, what are we going to be betting? I don't think it makes sense to bluff with our ace spades, our ace suited spades, because that eliminates possible calling hands. So if we have the ace of spades, that means he can't have the ace of spades. I also, and we've got weak pairs. I just think having spades in general is going to be bad. So if we bluff, I think we're going to be selectively bluffing hands like 10-8, maybe queen 10, 7-6, 8-7, maybe 8-6, maybe do something like that. So like basically nothing. We have, open in the straight draws, gut shots, gives the spades a chance to fold. We're not blocking the ace of spades or the king of spades at that point. So those are like viable hands that would have check called, and now check fold to a bet. So 40% value, I should say 71% value, 28% bluffs. That's probably a pretty good breakdown right there. So we bet that, and then if he calls, he's calling 55%. So let's run that. Let's say, and what would we do? So the pot's 45. Probably bet. Well, we bet 12. So we'll probably bet, maybe say 30. let's say we risk 30. So I bet 30 to win 30 plus 45.5. Yeah, so I need him to fold 39% of the time. So we know he's gonna continue with 55. He's folding 45. That's gonna be auto profit. Now, what is my EV? So let's see here. 45% of the time, I win what's in the pot. All right, but then the other 55% of the time, we will get called. And when we get called, I win 47.7. I win, what do I win? I bet 30, so I win 30 plus 45. Oops. Darn it. I messed up. Times 30 plus 45.5. That's what we want. All right, and then the other times 52.3. I am losing my $30 investment. So 31.65 would be the bet, is what I figure to win. So I think that's what we do. We bet 30 here with the range, you know, 3 of a kind plus, and then basically our missed straights. And we'll show some profit. What did I do? I checked behind, and you know, I didn't have anything A6. He shows pocket nines. Is that in his range? So he had trip 9, full house. Yeah, he does. So he did have the full house. Didn't 3-bet at all. Didn't raise. So yeah, I mean, we've got it. It's in there. He's kind of playing passively. So those are the type of hands that he would have. What about how I played it with the A6? Actually don't like it. I don't like how I played at all. You know, when we look at the ranges, you know, where does that A6 come into play? I mean, I had the no made hands. I had, you know, basically all of the aces just to add to the bluffs, but I don't know if that's good. I kind of think that we can't really include all of those. I think we have to get rid of them. Maybe include the bottom pair as a bluff, middle pair as a bluff. But I think he's got so many hands that he calls with that I don't know if he's going to fold once he does call. So when the 2 of diamonds hits on the turn, you know, we think about what he has. You can see he's very heavy in value. And when he calls 75, when he continues 75% of the time, he's got 61.83 for value. And then, you know, that it's on us, and it's like, okay, well, I made that mistake. I bet on the flop, and now I go ahead and continue betting the turn with, you know, 0 equity. So I don't like how I played this at all. We did get his hand; it was in there, but I think overall this was just a poorly played hand on my part. All right. So let's. Thanks for watching. If you want to see another hand, look tomorrow for one.